But the experience really is on the auto side. If you're driving a vehicle and you get in an accident, you submit the claim with your insurance company, right? What happens is they'll say, okay, well, you have to we can either send out somebody to your vehicle, wherever your vehicle is, and they'll take a look at your vehicle and they'll write in that sheet that I mentioned earlier, what their estimate of the damage is, or you could take it to a body shop and a body shop will look at it. They'll give you an estimate of it. The problem with this is it's a very, very slow process.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Scott Topper. He's the head of pre-sales and the director of strategy and implementation at SnapSheet. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kelsey. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I graduated from the University of Michigan a while ago now, go blue, and started off my career as a commercial real estate broker. So, not kind of the traditional W-2 corporate path for a few years, and really learned a lot about real estate, and more importantly, a lot about advising people on, real estate trends, competitive, trends in the marketplace, pricing, things like that. And really, most importantly, about sales. And I really loved it, but it was kind of right around the start of the great financial crisis. And I made a decision, do I want to do this for the rest of my career? And I transitioned into commercial banking, where I took on kind of that advisory role from a lending perspective. And especially during 2008 to 2011 or so, it was just a really interesting time from an underwriting perspective, and rounded out my advisory skill set from real estate to lending, and then decided I wanted to be on more kind of the business advisory side. So I went back to get my MBA and went to business school and transitioned to a career in management consulting. So in management consulting, I started my career at working with customers in the financial services sector, because my background had been financial services at that point from the bank, and found myself in the insurance sector a lot. There's a lot of really interesting work in the insurance sector, especially as it pertained to strategy, customer experience, and just optimizing insurance organizations. So I spent about 5 years doing that as a consultant. And then wanted to actually take all of that knowledge and expertise and bring it operationally to a business. And that's when I found SnapSheet. So SnapSheet was what a lot of people would call a disruptor in the space. It was, we're an insurtech company, so an insurance technology company within the insurance space that was really making a lot of headway and grew really quickly. And for me, that was very attractive to kind of come in and be able to affect growth more quickly. So transitioned to SnapSheet. And now for the past 5 years or so, I've been leading out their pre-sales organization, partnering with sales, as well as strategy and implementation, which is actually working with our customers to help deliver our software products to our insurance carrier partners.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit more about SnapSheet and kind of the products that are offered.
Sure. So SnapSheet's been around about a decade, and it all started when our CEO and founder was in a car accident, and the process by which he needed to go ahead and get bids on the damage to his vehicle was just a very clunky, awkward customer experience. He had to go around to different body shops. They all had different prices for him. And he thought, well, this is just a terrible experience. And we have smartphones. We have the ability to take photos from our phones. Why do I need to go to all these different body shops? So he came up with the idea of virtual estimating, which is essentially taking photos of the damage of your vehicle and using those photos virtually to estimate the damage versus somebody coming up to the vehicle and having to walk around the vehicle and actually fill out a document that says what the estimated damage is. In the industry, that's called a sheet. So Snap is kind of like the camera, sheet is the estimate. So that's where it started, and it started off as a B2C business for body shops, but quickly realized most of the industry is driven on insurance. Most people use insurance. So we quickly pivoted to become a B2B model and partnered with insurance carriers in the industry to be able to provide virtual claims estimating for auto damage. And that's really where we started. And that's our business grew from there. And we had to build technology to be able to support an experience that customers were expecting. So, the old model was you go into a body shop, it's very manual, it's very, physical, it takes a lot of time. In this model, people are used to Uber and Amazon and just modern customer experiences outside of insurance. So we said, well, why can't we provide that same experience? Mm-hmm. We had to build technology to be able to engage with end customers the way they expect to, via text messaging, emails, in the moment engagement with them, not a week or two later, not via letter or by physical mail, right? Just all of the tools that they would expect. And we built out that technology to support that business. And we quickly saw results with our customers and with our insurance carrier partners. So that business grew very quickly. And then when I came on board about 5 years ago, we said, well, you know what? We've built this great software to help our insurance carrier partners and enable a better experience for their customers. Why don't we develop it into a SaaS model that we can leverage and license to our carrier partners and others in the marketplace, so they have access to this technology, because after all, we're a technology company. So we built out that model, and we said, outside of just the appraisal process to get an estimate of the damage of your vehicle, let's extend our capabilities to the end-to-end claims management lifecycle. So, all the way from, if you think about your own personal experience, if you get in an auto accident, or even for homeowners insurance, if you have a water leak in your home, from submitting that first notice of loss, letting your insurance company know there was some sort of damage or loss, all the way through the process of working with the right vendors and receiving a payment from a customer's perspective. Our tool allows insurance carriers to be able to manage that process efficiently using our technology.
So it sounds like really the seamless flow of company growth. It makes a lot of sense, kind of the trajectory that the company was on, adapting to the industry, the demands. So it sounds like the biggest challenge that, when you started B2B or started B2C and then went to B2B, was that there was not a seamless client experience. Am I kind of hearing that right? Talk to me some more about kind of like what those biggest issues were before clients start working with you.
Sure. Great question. So just for context, and this still happens today, by the way, but not as much, hopefully, for us. But the experience really is on the auto side. If you're driving a vehicle and you get in an accident, you submit the claim with your insurance company, right? A lot of people have had this experience. What happens is they'll say, okay, well, we can either send out somebody to your vehicle, wherever your vehicle is, and they'll take a look at your vehicle and they'll write in that sheet that I mentioned earlier what their estimate of the damage is. Or you could take it to a body shop, and a body shop will look at it. They'll give you an estimate of it. The problem with this is it's a very, very slow process. Mm-hmm. So even just coordinating a schedule for somebody to come out to you, or for you to go to a body shop, people are working full time. They don't have time in their day to go do this and spend hours or even take a day off to do this. So the time factor is critical, and just starts off with a clunky customer experience. And then what they wind up doing, even if they do go on site, is they use the same type of tools. They're using their eyeballs to look at the vehicle damage, whereas you can use a photo to do the same exact thing and give you an estimate and get it back to you again, maybe in a week or two after that. Mm-hmm. So the timeline is very long in the traditional experience. And what studies have shown around customer satisfaction, so J.D. Power and other organizations do these type of studies all the time, is one of the largest drivers for customer satisfaction in claims is a metric called cycle time, which is exactly what we're talking about. How long does it take from when you submit your claim to when you get some sort of either estimate back or even get paid out? That is the number one driver of customer satisfaction. So for us to be able to enable a virtual process that allows a customer to get back an estimate or get that over to a body shop and complete that process as quickly as possible is going to make a much better customer experience. And if a customer is happy with their claims experience, they're more likely to stay with their insurance carrier. So it's a win-win-win all around for the customer, for us, and for the carrier.
Yeah. So it sounds like, kind of talking about your customer, there's a broad range, because you said it's people who drive cars. That's a very large target audience. So do you see trends and kind of who tends to work with SnapSheet more on the B2B side, the B2B side? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So it's actually really interesting. I'll bring up COVID in recent years as an example. So it's a volume-based business for us because when people are driving cars, the more cars that are on the road, the more accidents there are, and the more claims that are submitted for
Mhm.
insurance companies. And we work with insurance companies to help them outsource a part of their claims process, right?
Mhm.
That's what that business is doing. We'll
Mhm.
talk about the technology in just a second. But what happened with COVID, which was really interesting, was initially the world was shut down and everybody stopped driving, right? That was nobody knew what was going on. And for us, we were admittedly, concerned initially because people weren't driving, claim volume was down. But then what happened is when people started getting back on the roads and feeling comfortable getting outside, it came back way faster than we expected. Because what happened was insurance companies and claims organizations realized when they weren't able to go to their office and they didn't have access to the tools that they
Mm.
needed, virtual technology was going to be, they needed to adopt faster. So, transformation, digital transformation is a big buzzword people talk about a lot, but COVID, I would say, really accelerated that,
Yeah.
and was a boon for our business because businesses came back and said, some customers said, this is great. We want to give you all of our claims. And then we had a whole new set of customers who came in and said, we are not set up for this virtual workflow right now. And that'll take just a massive investment of time and resources that we can't afford. And we need your help. So it grew back really, really fast on that side. So the type of companies, to answer your question, are really those who, maybe are not set up for a virtual environment, don't have the tools internally to enable the type of cycle times they want to achieve and customer satisfaction scores they want to achieve, because we're using our own technology in that business.
Yeah.
They're not using in their technology, they've had trouble doing that. And we've also, pioneered this model. So we've been doing this for 10 years plus. And those who just started thinking about this now are just way behind. So it's a good model for companies who are kind of more tech forward and, looking to make a change quickly and keep up with customer expectations.
Yeah. It sounds like you were able to be, I don't want to say like a saving grace for some companies, but really able to keep some companies afloat in a time where they weren't set up for, like you said, they weren't set up for virtual business. So being able to provide those services, I imagine really was a life raft for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean, we just had a conversation with somebody last week who said, who's a newer customer within the last 6 months or so. And they said, the difference that we've seen using you guys to manage this process has been just massive and changed our business model, that we're totally rethinking how our strategy for claims based on, using you guys and the results that we've seen. So yeah, we've seen some great customer stories in relation to that. And then on the software side too, I mean, that's just on the tech-enabled services side, but on the software side, allowing organizations to use the tools that we have in a way that's battle tested. So if you think about it, if we've only been, let's say, developing, the software, we've only been developing the software for about 4 years or so. But all of the software tools we've already been using ourselves for over a decade. We eat our own dog food, so to speak, right? So we know it works, it's battle tested, and then carriers who use it in their claims organization can start getting the results that they're looking for with their customers throughout the claims lifecycle, not just for the estimate part of the lifecycle. So it's been a massive difference for them and allows them to get up and running and affect change quickly.
Yeah, really a true tool to, help for business enablement.
Exactly.
So Scott, it sounds like the SaaS software business has been a large growth segment for SnapSheet. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So SnapSheet, as I mentioned, started off by building a tech-enabled service business using our technology. And a few years ago when I came on, we saw that opportunity to bring that software and those capabilities to market and for our customers to be able to leverage that software and to be able to just move faster in an environment, an insurance landscape that's typically saddled with legacy technology, slower moving products, and an inability to affect change quickly. So for us, the software business is hugely is a huge growth engine for us because we have a product that we're able to implement with our customers. It's a true cloud product. We can implement it very, very quickly. It has a lot of tools embedded in their no-code tools so that our customers can actually build out the configurations that they want in the platform without having to wait for any development cycles, and actually start seeing automation and enabling the engagement that they want in their business as quickly as just a few weeks. So that business is growing really, really quickly. We see that as a white space in the market. The traditional players in the market don't have a product like that and can't usually move that quickly. So that's why we've seen a lot of traction in that space.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about kind of one of the biggest misconceptions, either in the insurance tech side, in the sales enablement, or not sales enablement, the business enablement, like you said. Talk to me a little bit about any common misconceptions that you've seen.
Sure. So there's a couple ways we can go with this. So on the insurance side, I mean, I've been in the insurance industry for a decade now plus. So for people who aren't in the industry, their experience with it is just what they know from their personal experience, right? You might have insurance policies for different things. But what's really interesting is the industry has been able to kind of, let's just say, coast for decades on the technology that they have and the processes that they've been using for a long time. Wow. And what that has meant is, with the speed of technological change just in the world, a lot of these insurance companies have just built their own legacy technology that they've been using for 30 or 40 years, and it's not equipped for the future of business and the way that business is done today and how customers and partners expect to be, interacted with. And it's created this just massive need to make a change. And they're making, big decisions around transformation to say, are we going to take this on themselves, or should we leverage other technology to be able to do this? I mean, if you think about your personal experience with an insurance policy, you might still get a paper bill in the mail. Like, you might have an option to get a paperless bill, as an example, or that claims process, you might get a physical letter in the mail. That's very, very common today, even with all the technology that we have. So it's been much slower to adopt, but to really be, to move ahead in such a competitive industry, these companies have had to take on technology to meet the customers, not only in where they're at, but where we're going, and what their expectations are in the market. So that's been, I'd say the misconception is that insurance companies, you see all the big commercials during the Super Bowl and, lots of marketing dollars put into them. But behind the scenes, there is just, a lot of technology room for improvement, let's just say. So that's where I think we have a great opportunity as a tech company to be able to help there.
That's fantastic. That's great. So Scott, as we kind of start to wrap up this conversation, where can people go to learn more about SnapSheet?
Sure. So they can go to our website. It's www.snapsheetclaims.com to guide them through whatever they're looking for, whether that be on the appraisal services side to work with them as an insurance company, or if their organization is looking for software. So we have, that software tool. You can go ahead and request a demo. Me or someone from my team will be happy to kind of show you the power of the tools that we have there. If you're looking to talk to me personally, I'm happy to meet with anybody. You can go to my LinkedIn. It's Scott Topper on LinkedIn.
Scott, as we start to wrap up this conversation, like I said, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, either about the insurance industry, about SnapSheet, anything like that?
Yeah, I'll say two things. One is, in terms of technology, never underestimate the power of what is available in the marketplace. And, it's too often people get caught up in, if you're working in a large company, the constraints of what your company has in place. And don't often look, outside to see, what else is available. Some of that's cultural, some of that's just the way things have always been, right? And then the other thing, just on the personal side, maybe career development side, my background, I work at a tech company. I work with software engineers and highly technical people every day, and I'm not technical. That's not my experience or my background, but you don't have to be technical to be successful at a technology company. I found my way in from the business side. Every technology company has a successful business, right? The technology should enable a business. So if you're thinking about a career in tech, there's plenty of good places to get your foot in the door and to provide value, even if you are not a software developer. Mm-hmm. So those would be my kind of two pieces of advice.
That's a great little bit to leave our listeners with. So, Scott, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to be on Business Ninjas, really breaking down Snapsheet, the technology, and all of the amazing things that Snapsheet offers, and the world of tech and how accessible it can be. So, I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Thanks for having me, Kelsey. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, great to have you.